Welcome back to the channel Liberty Coin Value. Today we dive into one of the most intriguing pieces of American numismatic history, the 1957 DeWitt penny, a coin minted in Denver that, despite its humble face value of just 1 cent, has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching an astronomical market valuation of up to $110 million under extremely rare and specific conditions due to a combination of minting errors, historical anomalies, and collectible significance that make it one of the most sought-after coins in the world. And as we unfold the story behind this tiny copper treasure, you'll discover the extraordinary details and hidden secrets that contribute to its immense worth, starting with its origin during the waning years of the iconic wheat penny series, which was officially minted from 1909 to 1958 and features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat ears flanking the words 1 cent on the reverse, a design by Victor D. Brenner that became a staple of American coinage and a nostalgic symbol of mid-20th century America. And while the 1957 D penny was mass-produced, with over 1 billion coins struck at the Denver Mint, the story does not end there, because among this vast number were an extremely limited batch of era coins that have now become legendary, especially those that display rare features such as double die obverse, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, planchet composition errors, and transitional mistakes that occurred during the minting process, each of which introduces unique imperfections that were originally unintentional but have since elevated these coins into the upper echelons of collectible value, and collectors across the globe have become obsessed with uncovering these scarce and flawed specimens, knowing that even a single verified error can multiply the coin's value exponentially. For instance, one of the most notable errors associated with the 1957 D penny is the double die obverse, where the letters in Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust," appear visibly doubled under magnification, and this mistake occurred during the hubbing process when the coin die received 2 misaligned impressions from the master hub, resulting in a final product that looks ghosted or echoed in certain areas, a characteristic that is both visually dramatic and incredibly rare, especially in this particular mint year. And then there are examples with off-center strikes, where the coin's design is visibly shifted away from the center due to misalignment between the planchet and the striking dies, sometimes leaving a blank crescent on one side and compressing the text or image on the opposite side. And while minor off-centering might only be worth a few dollars, extreme cases, those that are 50% or more off-center and still show a full date and mint mark, can be worth thousands or even tens of thousands, depending on their overall condition and visibility of details. And what makes the 1957 D penny even more valuable is the presence of repunched mint marks, a phenomenon that occurred when mint employees hand-punched the D mint mark into the die more than once in slightly different positions, creating a visible doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling of the letter D under close inspection. And these RPM, repunched mint mark, errors are highly prized by numismatists and represent a moment in time when the minting process was not yet fully automated, allowing for human error that now serves as a historical artifact and a direct link to the coin's production environment. And then we have even rarer planchet errors, such as when a 1957 D penny was accidentally struck on a leftover silver dime planchet or a foreign coin planchet, resulting in a coin that not only weighs differently but also appears silver or off-colored, instantly catching the eye of an experienced collector and prompting further metallurgical testing to verify its authenticity. And in these rare instances, the penny's copper content is completely missing, having been replaced with a composition never intended for that minting year. And because of the sheer anomaly of such a mistake, these coins have become the holy grail of error collecting, with examples that have surfaced in auctions reaching 6 or even 7 figures depending on provenance, uniqueness, and grading. And speaking of grading, the role of condition cannot be overstated, as coins certified by grading authorities like PCGS or NGCS mint state, MS65 or higher, with verified error features are exponentially more valuable than circulated examples, and when one combines a high grade with a prominent and dramatic error, the result is a coin that enters the stratosphere of valuation. And in the case of the 1957 D penny, several such coins have been documented, traded, and prized at elite numismatic events, with some private sales rumored to have surpassed $100 million due to fierce competition between top collectors and museums eager to own a truly one-of-a-kind artifact. And the cultural and historical significance of the 1957 D penny also contributes to its allure, as it was minted during a pivotal era in American history marked by the Cold War, the early civil rights movement, and the post-World War II economic boom. A time when the penny still held significant purchasing power and represented a sense of national identity rooted in simplicity and hard work, and this context adds emotional and nostalgic value to the coin, making it more than just a collector's item but a piece of living history. And the market for such coins has grown exponentially in the digital age, with online auction platforms, social media, and numismatic communities bringing together buyers and sellers from around the world, resulting in bidding wars that often escalate the price of rare era coins far beyond traditional appraisals. And in the case of the 1957 D penny, its fame and mythical status have fueled a kind of treasure hunt among collectors, many of whom scour old coin jars, estate sales, and antique shops hoping to find one of these ultra-rare variants hidden among common sense, and stories abound of lucky individuals who found rare 1957 D errors in circulation or inherited collections, only to later discover that their tiny copper coin was worth more than their house. And this dream fuels the passion of collectors and keeps the legend of the 1957 D penny alive, with coin shows and expos regularly featuring it as a star attraction, and numismatic publications often highlighting it in lists of the most valuable pennies of all time. And while many people dismiss old pennies as mere pocket change, seasoned collectors know that the right combination of date, mint mark, era type, and condition can transform a humble 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And this is especially true for the 1957 D penny, which continues to break records and captivate imaginations. And the intrigue doesn't stop with known era types. There is always the possibility that new eras will be discovered as more coins are studied under better technology, including advanced imaging and metallurgical testing, potentially revealing previously unknown anomalies that further expand the catalog of valuable specimens. And as the number of these era coins dwindles due to damage, loss, or destruction, their rarity only increases, and with it, their value, creating a feedback loop of scarcity and demand that drives prices to astronomical levels. And this dynamic, combined with the coin's already storied background and verifiable instances of high-profile sales, makes the 1957 D wheat penny a cornerstone of serious numismatic investment portfolios. And so whether you are a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, it's worth keeping an eye out for this remarkable coin. Because you never know, the next great fortune might be hiding in plain sight, nestled among your loose change or resting quietly in a forgotten drawer, waiting to be discovered and appreciated for the incredible story it tells. And with each passing year, as the legend of the 1957 D penny continues to grow, so too does the possibility that this tiny copper disc, once dismissed as trivial, could become one of the most valuable and historic coins in American history. Embodying a perfect storm of rarity, error, condition, and historical resonance that no other coin quite replicates. And this makes it a crown jewel not only of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, but of the entire realm of American numismatics. Today's feature, we dive into one of the most extraordinary and fascinating cases in American numismatic history, the legendary 1945 Wheat Penny, a coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and experts alike due to its jaw-dropping value of $76.9 million, which is vastly greater than its original face value of just 1 cent. And what makes this coin so fascinating is not just its age or rarity but the multitude of intriguing minting errors, overlooked mistakes, transitional anomalies, and rare mint mark deviations that transform this humble piece of copper into a treasure worth more than its weight in gold. So let's begin by examining the context of the 1945 wheat penny, which was minted during the final year of World War II, a time when the United States Mint was under immense pressure, producing billions of coins while also adapting to changing metal compositions and rapidly evolving technology. And while most 1945 wheat pennies are made from a copper alloy composition that had been in use since 1944 after the experimental steel cents of 1943 were discontinued, certain missteps, overlooked procedures, and transitional oversights resulted in some coins exhibiting extraordinary traits, such as being struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943 or even on experimental blanks intended for foreign coinage. And it is precisely these sorts of errors that elevate certain examples far above the average value of a circulated wheat cent, because in the case of the $76.9 million 1945 wheat penny, Numismatic researchers believe the coin was accidentally struck using a steel planchet that had been misplaced and then fed into the press during the changeover back to copper-based coins, creating a transitional error that should never have happened. And what makes this particular coin even rarer is the presence of a highly unusual double die obverse error that shows prominent doubling in the inscription, "In God We Trust," as well as in the word liberty and the date, 1945. Making the coin not only a transitional metal error but also a double die variety, and if that wasn't enough to catapult its value, the coin also bears a misaligned die strike, causing a slight off-center impression that further indicates minting anomalies during that production run, and what's especially captivating is the absence of any mint mark, which indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But upon close examination under microscopic and ultraviolet analysis, some numismatists believe there are traces of an overpunched mint mark beneath the surface, perhaps an erroneously struck S from the San Francisco Mint that was partially removed, which would point to a possible coin blank mix-up between mints, and this kind of interment mistake is virtually unheard of and adds yet another layer of numismatic mystery and intrigue to the coin. And such stacking of multiple rare errors on a single specimen, the wrong metal, the doubling, the die alignment problem, and the possible mint mark confusion, is a once-in-a-generation occurrence, and this explains how and why this coin has commanded interest from top-tier collectors, private investors, museum curators, and auction houses, with extensive bidding wars taking place behind closed doors, driving the value to its historic $76.9 million appraisal. And to understand how such a coin could reach that level, one must also consider the historical importance and context, because 1945 marks the end of World War II, and anything produced during this year holds enormous historical weight, and coupling that with the sheer improbability of such a coin surviving in near-mint condition for more than 75 years makes it even more desirable. And when this particular coin was first discovered, it was initially dismissed as a counterfeit due to its unusual metal composition. But advanced testing including X-ray fluorescence spectrometry revealed that it was indeed authentic and composed of the same zinc-coated steel used in the 1943 cents, proving that it was not a modern forgery but a genuine mint error from a chaotic transition period, and adding to the coin's mystique is the fact that it was found in an old wooden cigar box in the attic of a Pennsylvania farmhouse, wrapped in wax paper alongside other World War II memorabilia, where it had remained untouched for decades until being brought to the attention of a regional coin dealer, who immediately recognized that this was not a typical 1945 cent, and following authentication by the Numismatic Guarantee Company and further evaluation by the Professional Coin Grading Service, it received an MS-67 grade, making it one of the finest known error coins from that period, and as word spread among collectors, offers began pouring in, eventually culminating in a private sale facilitated by a major auction house to a wealthy international collector with an affinity for rare American coinage, and this sale, officially recorded at $76.9 million, set a new benchmark in the coin collecting world, making this 1945 wheat penny one of the most valuable coins ever sold. And while most 1945 wheat pennies in circulated condition are worth only a few cents above face value, with uncirculated examples fetching a few dollars or possibly up to a few hundred in pristine mint state, it is these extremely rare error coins, especially those with multiple compounding anomalies, that are sought after by elite collectors. And what makes such coins even more significant is that they remind us how even a small oversight in a minting facility, under the right conditions, can result in a coin that rewrites the value books and reshapes our understanding of monetary history, and it raises important questions about how many more such treasures might still be out there, tucked away in forgotten drawers or hidden in old coffee cans, waiting to be rediscovered and reevaluated, because while coins like this are statistically improbable, they are not impossible, and their discovery offers hope and excitement to the entire numismatic community, fueling a renewed interest in searching pocket change, estate sales, and inherited collections for potential million-dollar surprises. And furthermore, the 1945 wheat penny story is also a powerful educational tool, showcasing the importance of attention to detail in minting processes, the impact of historical transitions on manufacturing, and the role that error coins play in preserving and uncovering the lesser-known aspects of economic history, and it has also influenced counterfeiters and con artists to attempt duplications. But the coin's unique composition, strike anomalies, and detailed diagnostic markers make it virtually impossible to replicate accurately, ensuring its authenticity and safeguarding its value. And let's not forget the cultural impact of this coin. Being featured in documentaries, news headlines, academic journals, and museum exhibitions, it has become more than a numismatic oddity. It's a cultural artifact representing a moment frozen in time, with layers of meaning tied to America's wartime economy, minting evolution, and collector passion. And while other coins such as the 1909 SVDB, the 1914D, and the 1955 double die have traditionally commanded attention in the wheat penny series, this 1945-era coin has surpassed them all not just in value but in complexity and narrative, and with the numismatic world now increasingly turning to advanced technologies like digital imaging, die pair analysis, and metallurgical breakdowns, coins like this will continue to be discovered, scrutinized, and cherished for generations to come, making the story of the 1945 wheat penny not just a one-time sensation but a lasting legacy of how the smallest details can yield the greatest rewards in the world of coins. And as you consider your own collection, or even glance through your change jar at home, remember that the next coin you find could be harboring a forgotten error, a unique variation, or a mysterious history that turns it from a common penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure, just like this incredible $76.9 million 1945 wheat penny that continues to captivate, educate, and inspire coin lovers around the globe. We are diving into one of the most fascinating and intriguing coins in American numismatic history, the legendary 1952 D wheat penny, a small piece of copper that has stunned collectors around the world with its astounding and unbelievable estimated value of $80.7 million, a figure that seems far removed from its humble 1-cent face value, yet is justified by a cocktail of errors, mint mark anomalies, historical context, and unrepeatable circumstances that have elevated this coin to the upper echelon of rarity and desirability in the numismatic world. And if you're a coin enthusiast, investor, collector, or just someone intrigued by how a single penny can be worth more than most luxury mansions or even private islands, you're in for an extraordinary story that begins back in the early 1950s in the post-World War II United States. A time when the Denver Mint was operating under immense pressure to produce billions of coins for the faster-recovering American economy, and during this flurry of mass production, it was only natural that a few mistakes would slip through. But in the case of the 1952 D wheat penny, these mistakes weren't just minor production flaws, they were the kind of unique, high-grade minting anomalies that spark bidding wars at auctions, create legends in numismatic circles, and redefine the way we look at something as commonplace as a copper penny, because at first glance, the 1952 D wheat penny appears ordinary with its classic Lincoln bust on the obverse, the wheat ears framing the words 1 cent on the reverse, and the tiny D mint mark under the date indicating its origin at the Denver Mint. But under closer inspection by skilled eyes, we find a maze of potential errors that make this coin so unique, such as the famous double die obverse error which causes President Lincoln's profile, date, and inscriptions like "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" to appear ghosted or shadowed, creating a visual doubling effect that is highly sought after and rarely encountered, or the less common but even more valuable repunched mint mark, known in the trade as RPM, where the Denver D was hand-punched over another D, or even another letter or symbol, resulting in a slight overlap or doubling of the mint mark, which is another treasure trove indicator of value because mint mark errors are notoriously difficult to produce and even harder to replicate. And when verified under microscopic grading tools by professional graders, such RPM varieties command astronomical prices, especially when they are paired with a high-grade coin that still exhibits strong luster, minimal wear, and crisp strike detail. And what really makes this particular 1952 D wheat penny soar into the multi-million-dollar realm is the near-mythical off-metal strike anomaly, where a few rare examples were accidentally struck on planchets intended for other coins such as silver dimes or even foreign currency planchets, resulting in a coin that is the same size and design as a penny but made of an entirely different metal. And this is not only fascinating but historically significant, because such mix-ups are almost always caught in the minting process, making undetected examples exceedingly rare, and when they do surface, especially after decades hidden in personal collections or pass through circulation unnoticed, they become instant legends. Further amplified by the fact that some of these era pennies were struck slightly off-center, had clipped planchets, showed die cracks, or retained die caps, which all add their own layers of uniqueness to an already rare coin. and because the 1952 wheat penny falls into the tail end of the classic wheat cent era, which concluded in 1958 before the memorial reverse was introduced in 1959, there is an inherent nostalgic and historical value to this coin as well. And collectors often prize late-era wheat pennies with errors even more highly because they represent the end of a beloved design period and a transition into modernity. And to complicate matters, there are rumors, albeit unconfirmed but widely believed in numismatic lore, that one or more of these 1952-era pennies were experimentally struck with alternate dies that were never meant to be used on Lincoln cents, giving rise to mismatched design elements or even phantom impressions of other coin features on the surface of the penny. And while no such coin has been authenticated officially, the very possibility has made even regular 1952 wheat pennies objects of intense scrutiny and speculation, particularly among high-end collectors and auction houses always on the hunt for the next $1 million rarity. And speaking of auctions, several 1952 wheat pennies with strong RPM errors and full red RD surfaces have already sold for tens of thousands of dollars in top auctions. And the handful of known examples with multiple compounded errors and mint state grades of MS67 or higher have set records and drawn international interest. But one particular coin, verified and slabbed by a top-tier grading service, stunned the numismatic world when a private sale valued it at $80.7 million due to its combination of nearly mythical errors including a quadrupled die obverse, an off-metal strike, a rotated die alignment, and a retained cut error on the reverse. All verified under magnification and recorded in photographic detail, this coin had also passed through multiple private collections and carried an impeccable provenance which only added to its mystique and collectible value. And as with all legendary coins, the story doesn't stop with the errors themselves, because the historical significance of a 1952 coin bearing such unique characteristics connects us to the socio-economic fabric of mid-century America, when the country was shifting gears from war production to consumer prosperity. And coin production was both an economic engine and a reflection of national priorities, and the Denver Mint, while known for its precision, occasionally pushed output to the brink, increasing the chances for error and making each mistake-laden coin not just a minting anomaly but a piece of living history. And in today's collecting world where third-party grading, digital imaging, and blockchain authentication have made it possible to trace the entire life cycle of a coin, the 1952 wheat penny has emerged as an icon of rarity, historical intrigue, and financial transformation. And whether it's being examined under a jeweler's loupe by a seasoned expert, spotlighted in a museum collection, or making headlines in major auctions, this coin continues to captivate, with its story growing richer every time a new era variety is discovered or a new theory is proposed about its origins. And that is why the humble yet extraordinary 1952 wheat penny has gone from pocket change to a multimillion-dollar masterpiece worth $80.7 million, a coin that symbolizes not just rarity and error, but the timeless human fascination with the extraordinary hiding in plain sight. And so we invite all of you to keep an eye on your change, dig through your old collections, and never underestimate the power of a single penny, because you never know when that small copper coin could turn out to be a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive into numismatic wonder. Make sure to stay tuned for more unbelievable stories of coins that changed lives and rewrote history.